can be only one podcast and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
I'm Benjamin and
Wes.
Oh,
what are you doing
what am
here?
I supposed to be in here right
What are you
now?
doing here?
Look, yeah.
Yeah? All right. Well, everyone, by the title of this podcast, is very excited.
Hi there, folks, and welcome to another Saturday Morning Sound.
No, we're not doing that. Not doing that. But we are, I am not, but we are discussing Kenobi. Everyone loves it.
I'm here for Saturday Morning Sound.
Well, you're too early.
All right.
But we are going to talk about Kenobi. This was your idea, actually.
Was it?
Benjamin, you're the one that texted me and said, hey,
So
I'd
why
like
aren't
to
we
come
calling
on.
this episode Saturday Morning Sound Flash?
Because you
This was
said
my idea.
Because you said I want to go on Prince of the Universe and do Kenobi. Is
I
what
said
you
we
said.
need to have another crossover episode.
Okay,
That's what I said.
All right. So
But last time I think we were Saturday Morning Sound Flash, and you were on that show, right?
When
No.
Worlds Collide.
Or was it?
when
Prince?
Worlds
It was-
Collide, we did the
Movies.
Boba Fett. We did movies on Saturday Morning Sound Flash.
Oh,
We did the
that's
Boba
right.
Fett Mandalorian on Prince of the Universe.
Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett. So we're going to talk about this one because y'all finished it the same day. Actually,
we?
when I texted him, he said, "Well, I'm watching the last episode now." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Because I texted you randomly and said I
That
had
you
so many
just
feelings.
finished it. So we're going to talk about this. I'm going to let you two talk now. If anyone remembers, and you got to go back and listen to it because it was a good podcast, the one we did on Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, because y'all had the exact opposite. It seems like
Pretty close.
pretty close opposite review. So I secretly know the answer to this, but we're going to get whether you liked it or not. So we're going to see, and I don't know who wants to go first. So
Well, I
It
think
sounds like he's
since
pitting us against one another.
no, I'm not, because we had a great conversation last
Right.
time, and
I went first on the last one
Okay.
because I felt like I was very. I
You
came
had a
in
lot-
very
That's true.
loaded
We-
on my frustrations.
Yeah, exactly. Because I enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett for the most part.
Yes.
And,
Alright.
Yes. And in this one, it was the total opposite. Like most of this show, I hated it. And most of it.
I think Benjamin should go first.
And I have, no. But I don't think
Alright.
we should. I don't think we should like just unload all of our points. You know, we can be a back and forth. Maybe.
Yeah, let's
And
have
that's-
some banter.
that's what we're going to do. Well, it's going to be point and counterpoint again.
Okay.
Because I don't have anything ranked or listed or.
No, you don't have to. So just
Yeah. So
Overall
it's not
thoughts?
Saturday Morning Camouflage. I don't know
No.
how rules work in this universe.
anything goes.
Okay.
So no, just go ahead. Just ramble off some of your points.
No,
and
the first
we'll
thing
let-
I have written is that it could have, all caps, been great overall. It's just a good Star Wars experience. It's good, it's fine, but it's just a spectacle. It's like once you've seen it, okay, I've seen it, and you might rewatch it once, and then it's kind of done. Like you've seen the trick. You've seen the magic trick performed. You've seen Vader do the thing that you never thought you'd get to see. You saw Kenobi do the thing that you never thought we'd see happen. You saw them finally fight. And by the way, all the spoilers in the world.
Yeah, we're
So,
doing all spoilers
For
here.
anyone who might
Yeah.
be jumping into this as a new customer, like
This is coming out roughly a month
this is-
after
this
the
is
series is
spoiling
ended.
everything
So
all
yeah,
the time. So just to be clear, because Star Wars is a big deal with spoilers. But
yeah, spoilers.
But anyway, I just feel like that so much of the show could have is like so much potential was left on the cutting room floor, and just the way that they paced it and the way it was shot and designed and directed and acted and everything else, that it is beautiful to watch once, and then I might watch it all again once, and I will be done with it forever. And with such good characters, such good depth of 30 years plus 50 years almost of Star Wars you've got to draw on, and all the books and everything you can do with it, and it's something that I'm going to get 2 watches out of, maybe.
Okay, so that still seems like a nice report for it.
I mean,
So what
it's
particularly do you think, like, here's their failing points? It's okay to mention these. He had plenty.
No, I've got a lot of
Okay, go.
failing points. I just wanted to, that's my opening argument. That's my opening
Okay.
statement.
That's his
All right.
disclaimer.
Well, all right, so Wes, overall thoughts of Kenobi and why?
I agree a lot with what Benjamin said in this aspect. I thought that when you have a show with Obi-Wan Kenobi back again, who is a huge fan favorite that people
Right.
are solidly behind. He's not part of what people look at and go, they could have done better.
Right. It wasn't a...
He's not Jar Jar.
Everyone's hurt. Yeah.
So
It wasn't just like...
And
even
then you
Mandalorian,
take
you're like, maybe.
a giant leap and say, you know what, we're going to bring Vader in on this, and we're going to bring Hayden Christensen back.
I mean, dang.
To me, that alone why spend more time bringing more people into this story? There's your story.
Yeah, you don't need extra.
Okay,
There
so
was
all the
so-
extra people were just they
totally throwaway.
a waste of time.
Totally.
Now, when we say extra people, are you saying everyone outside of Obi-Wan and
No.
Vader? Because I know there's a little Princess Leia in
She's-
this.
yes.
Do you keep her or do you lose her?
I thought she was great.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I thought she was great.
All right.
She's the only other saving grace. Every other character, because you said Vader, Kenobi, and little Princess Leia, and literally everyone else is
Do you like
kind of useless.
what if little Princess Leia was holding a little baby Yoda? Would that just be super cute?
Shut up.
I think it was more. I'll agree with that for the sake of, if you look at this and there's memories when you're a kid, and it kind of makes sense for her to say, "You served my father in the Clone Wars," and she
Yes.
doesn't totally recall this memory.
Yes.
She is very young,
Mm-hmm.
so it is good to show like there was a relationship there that was built in, and it was good that they highlighted with Luke. But I thought talking about Owen and Beru, bringing them into it, you could have really done a lot with that.
You
That
could
they
have,
left
absolutely.
laying on the floor, like you
That's true.
said,
So you're saying missed opportunities?
missed opportunities with those people.
With Owen and Beru, maybe.
Okay, what missed opportunity?
Well, I
Like,
just think they
did they
raised
show why?
Luke,
Okay.
and they showed, and it kind of delved into how Owen did not want Obi-Wan around.
I never got that question answered. I wanted that question so bad. Why
What-
was Owen so anti-Kenobi?
Let me ask: was Owen the same from Episode 3?
Yes.
Oh, really?
And he's a
Yeah,
good
so they did.
Huh.
Like I felt like you had the ability to really tell that story.
And I was
which-
really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really interesting story to tell for someone that, takes ownership of a human being and becomes their parent, but you're taking them away from this other person who actually kind of saved this kid's life. But you're saying, thanks for saving the kid's life, you can't see them. So there's a
Okay.
dynamic
That's
there
why-
that
that's what I wanted to find out.
They
And
came up
I don't
short
feel
on
like
that.
We
I-
never got an answer as to
Okay.
why Uncle Owen is so mad, or why he's so
Bitter.
I don't want you to go talk to weird old Kenobi. You stay away from him.
Yeah.
he's just a
Never
crazy
did.
old man.
Yeah, crazy old man.
So
I think he's dead.
That was that's part of what my frustration is, and I think everybody else other than that, I think introducing more people into the Empire. When you have
Yeah.
Vader, there's
You don't need anyone
anything
else.
I mean,
You've got the king.
Oh, that's good. What's the point?
yeah, and if they're going to be disposable, don't give them a storyline.
It's true.
Because Vader's personality in those movies, the original movies, was there was a different general in almost every scene, because if he got mad,
Boom.
Yeah, you take him out.
yeah. So they introduced this other character into it, and they give her a lot of. I thought they just didn't do a very good job of building her as a good character.
They didn't.
They kind of built her like a brat, like a teenage kid that got their driver's license and kind of wanted to show off. It just seemed like the casting situation, like they wanted to. I felt like that they had a whiteboard and they said, we have to get all of this in too.
Yes.
This person was neither mysterious
No.
or special
No.
or interesting
No.
or likable.
Maybe.
I
But
thought
still.
I just thought that you had enough to work with.
Right.
Okay.
It's like putting a hat on a hat.
Okay.
So that's something else to be clear. It's only 6 episodes long, and none of them were even an hour. I don't believe. I think all of them were
Which
40 to
I
50
really
minutes.
liked a lot.
You did?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because my problem was if you know going in you've only got 6 50-minute episodes, why are you adding more characters to cram into this? Like you said, we've got Vader and Kenobi in this critical part of time. Why? You've only got 6 episodes. Just stick with what
You're
you got.
telling a story that people have been wanting to hear since episode 3
Yeah.
concluded.
And so the first 3 episodes or so, they built up this new Imperial character, and then boom, she's dead. No problem.
What-
And they kill her off, and I didn't care at all. And I was just like, why? Why is the swelling music playing? Why did John Williams have to write this part with labeled probably "Home Chick Dies"? And no one cares. I was so frustrated by that moment.
So it was a lack of focus in the overall storyline. They had too many other subplots going through. Is that what it was? Or just it was just too many characters that they tried to get you to care about, but
No, it's much more his point to the whiteboard. We've got to get all this on here. And it felt so formulaic and
Really?
and forced in.
okay.
And like, well, we've got to add more content because Vader and Kenobi's not enough. We've got to get more in here.
So it's like they didn't trust that Obi-Wan
Correct.
could handle his own series.
Correct.
100%.
They
It's
didn't-
like
We're gonna have.
it's like
we're
Captain
gonna,
America, as I say in quotations, Captain America 2, which is S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the movie.
Maybe-
Captain America 3, which is basically Avengers 2.
Yeah, it's a very.
2.5.
It just.
maybe somebody didn't know that Ewan McGregor was a good actor and he could carry it.
Yeah,
by
I mean,
himself,
like
you
they
know?
had a real, like, to have the opportunity to do this well and not have to CGI your characters because they're past their expiration date.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that critically. I just mean
Right.
it literally.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Time. Yeah.
He plays a very convincing Obi-Wan still right before we meet Alec Guinness 40 years ago. To me, like, the way they could have bridged that gap, they had it right there in their hand.
Could have done it.
You know, to me, this series should have made you.
Like, want to watch episode 4 just because it's going right into it.
It should make you look at, like, to me, the original series was all about the saga of Luke Skywalker, but
Yeah.
you watch the prequels and you understand, oh, this is the
Vader story.
correct.
Yeah.
But the Kenobi story, here's where you can tell that. And I felt like, man, he bridges all of this. He's what glues all of this together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Obi-Wan is such a critical part to Star Wars that they just missed it for some reason by doing all this stuff around it
Yep.
rather than focusing right here.
The Disney dance. They did the Disney dance around it. And that was one of my chief complaints, is that you can see Disney's imprint all over this show.
Really?
And I'm talking about from the cinematography to the casting to the blocking, the wooden ass acting that they had. Holy smokes.
Can you
The-
name some particular characters who were wooden?
No, because they're all forgotten about. who cares? Like, every character with the sole exception of, and I want to get your take. I want to hear what you have to say about young Princess Leia first before I go into this. Because
I mean, I get the point of doing it. I thought she did as well as she could. I think you're asking a lot of a little
yeah,
kid.
but for a little girl her age, like, have you
Right.
seen an actress that good in a long time?
Well, no, and it's kind of like, you know, who was the kid that played Anakin in episode 1?
Jake Lloyd.
He had
Poor
way
Jake
too
Lloyd.
much. He was too young for that role. It was
Yeah.
too much pressure, man.
Yeah. It was. And plus, George is a terrible director for actors.
So I compare it to that. It's like she was in a no-win situation because of the way we hold Carrie Fisher. But I thought she did adequate. She didn't steal the show, but she
No,
didn't need to.
She didn't need to.
She didn't need
Okay.
to. She just
Absolutely
needed
not.
to be like, oh, I can see how she grows up to be the character
Yeah.
that I
And-
met
and
40
there's
years
enough
ago.
of the silhouettes of the Leia that we know.
Sure.
That you can see.
Costuming, they hinted.
That's all fine, and I
Yeah.
appreciated that. That's fine.
Okay. Next nitpick.
But everyone else is just that, with the exception of Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, and little Leia, everything else was so entirely forgettable and so. It looked like, you know how when stage actors, you and I have done stuff on stage. Mm-hmm. You and I have talked about this in the theater before, where you've got actors who come in, they know their lines, but then they stand on stage and they just deliver their lines, and they do it perfectly, and in their head, to everyone else, they are a superstar because they know their lines.
Right.
And they said them at the right time, and they hit the right mark, and they did all of the right things, and yet they don't realize somehow that they're the worst thing up there.
Yeah.
I don't care if you know your lines. I don't believe anything you're saying. Do you know what I'm talking
Reliability and talent are two
about?
different
Reliability
things.
and talent are extraordinarily different things. And yet, I think Disney's casting directors are 100% on that reliability and marketability scale and don't give a damn or don't have any vision for actual talent.
Let me ask you this. Hayden Christensen was panned by critics for his acting in 2 and 3.
Yes.
I've seen him in other movies like Looper and Awake, and he's actually a really good
He's a
actor.
phenomenal actor.
So again, I blame George for this. But how was he in Kenobi? Or did you...
Well, I thought
Go ahead.
that last episode, the fight, when he cracks that helmet.
It's a beautiful moment. So they finally get to fight. There's a big fight. Everything you want. So that's the saving grace of this show. Like, anyone who's seen this show, you're going to think about the duel. The Duel of the Fates is the name of the episode, I think.
Right, because
so they finally get to square off against
right, because Vader said, "Last time we met, I was but the learner.
Correct.
Now I am the master."
Correct.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how that was going to go.
And yeah. So
another fight. Go ahead.
Big fight, and they give you a lot of the stuff that you thought you'd never see. And Vader gets to show off a lot of his power with the Force in a couple of episodes, actually. Because there's one moment when he walks in and the ship's trying to take off, and he's like, nope. And just straight grabs the ship, yanks it down back to the ground. And I'm like, whoa! Did you ever play the Force Unleashed games? Because that's like a scene right out of the Force Unleashed. Where you grab the Star Destroyer and
crash it down.
And it's right out of the books, I guess.
Which is why Darth Vader grabbed the Millennium Falcon in Empire Strikes Back as it was going away.
Did he really?
No, he didn't. He
Nah,
watched it. He watched it go away.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I heard that complaint earlier from someone else.
So like, but that's exactly part of the point, though. It's just like, wait a minute, why does this seem so weird? What's not fitting into this? And everything felt so weird. It was fun to watch, but it didn't fit. There were plot holes on top of plot holes on top of plot holes.
It's one, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but it's like a Harry Potter problem. I've enjoyed Harry Potter in the past. Sure. Reading it my last time, I realized a big plot hole.
Yeah.
If they have all these amazing gadgets that can go back in time, why don't you just go back in time and take out Tom Riddle? I mean, it's or the Sorcerer's Stone, or all these things. If Dumbledore knew he was going to die, then ask to borrow the Sorcerer's Stone for a few minutes while they try to kill you. I mean, it's just, you had all these amazing things that if they really did work the way you said they did, then then there's no problem that can't be solved.
I think this lends itself to the where we talked about there's so much of this now that we never had, that you can watch this and critically judge it and say, well, if he can do this, why didn't he do this in Empire? Because the story wasn't there. So I don't see that as such a big problem as him grabbing the ship, because like you said, they did that in video games and they've done that in other aspects. So give the fans that. But I think that's what the show was all about, was showing how powerful Vader was. And I thought it was showing how much Obi-Wan had checked out because he felt so defeated.
He felt so guilty and defeated, right?
Guilt. You know, that side of that, you know, really.
He's like, I don't know. I don't think
that's where John Williams' music should have been played.
Agreed.
That's where everybody gets emotional. And everybody's going, "Oh my gosh, this is awful. This broken hero who did everything he could and just failed," which is something that most everyone who watches this show can relate to. Doing your best doesn't mean it's going to be right.
Right.
So tell that story instead of bringing in all these other people. Like Ewan McGregor, I'm pretty sure can read the phone book and be pretty entertaining. So you don't have to load his gun with a whole lot. He can do it.
He can work with what he's got.
So give him something. And I just felt like they gave a lot of story to these other characters that it just didn't pan out. When whatever the arc was, it didn't matter. And when the ending of that character, it didn't matter. So you just sitting there with wasted opportunity with this incredible actor who came back and did this all over again. And yeah, he did it for a paycheck, but I don't care. I mean, he did it, and he did it very well. And they just left it on the ground.
That's it.
Other than the last two episodes.
And other than the last two episodes. Because that's what everybody's going to remember, is the last two episodes. The big fight and the big force power show-off moments and everything else. Yeah. But like I said, once you've seen it, you've seen it. And it's fun. It'll be fun to watch. I'll probably watch that clip a few times. You know, I'll watch
those clips will always. But
YouTube.
yeah,
it's going to be good stuff. It's a lot of stuff we saw with force powers that we haven't seen before, and lightsaber fighting and the style that they did. The thing is that you had your classic Sith moment where the apprentice betrays the master and tries to kill Darth Vader. Oh, bad move, first of all. But like, I didn't like this director at all. Chow, whatever her name was, Margaret Chow, Deborah Chow. I don't remember now.
I think it's Deborah Chow.
I didn't like at all her style and pacing and speed and timing of everything, because that moment when the Sith tries to kill Vader and he he freezes the lightsaber and just turns around slow, and he's like, "Did you think you had a chance in hell to even come close? I didn't know what you were about to do."
Right.
And he just like holds the lightsaber in place and just plays with her for a full 5 minutes, just rips her apart and just lets her lets her dig her own grave. And just says, "All right, what you gonna do next?" And messes with her. He like breaks her lightsaber in half and then throws her the other piece and says, "Here, you want to fight? Let's fight." And it was amazing, but it was so off. The timing was so off.
And it would have mattered so much more if the character that he was doing that to, we cared about.
Yes.
But we were like, yeah, destroy her.
Kill her.
Yeah.
Fine.
Please.
Whatever. Let's
whatever
get on
you
with
need
it.
to do.
Yeah.
Cut her in half.
And I
whatever.
guess you could do this because the character was inexperienced, right? Or not fully trained.
Yeah, she was an Inquisitor.
Okay.
She was one
All
of the Jedi hunters, but she was one of the Padawans
And so he
from the temple.
He didn't even use a sword. He just used the Force. Is that what you're saying?
The plot line, well, he didn't for the most part. The first half of the fight,
He just
he's using the
manhandles.
Force and just ripping her apart. And then she's got a double-bladed lightsaber.
So he takes
and then he just breaks it in half. And then it could have been the best moment in Star Wars history, I feel like. That moment, he breaks it in half and he's just holding it there. And then it's just like he quickly throws it down, and it's like a weird angle and everything. But if Vader would have just stood there and intimidated the hell out of her, and like, "I just broke your shit in half, you're about to die now," and then just waited, and then just chucked the
kind of
lightsaber
like
to her or something.
in Empire when he walks in on Luke and he says, "You are beaten.
You are beaten.
You are useless to resist."
Yeah. That's what it should have
That's
been.
what it should have been.
That was scary. Like,
Correct.
He was intimidating in that
Right,
moment.
and we cared about Luke. We were like, "Oh no, please not this."
Right.
But this girl, you're like,
like,
"This,
come on, man."
this is went way too long."
And so he throws He throws the other half of the lightsaber to her, and then they have an actual lightsaber fight for a little while, and he still beats her up.
Okay.
Treats the trash out of her. But so there are good moments in the last two episodes. Really good moments that are great. What did I miss? Why are we laughing? Am I
I just know I know now why I don't watch this stuff.
Oh, I know.
I have a way different opinion, but I didn't see it. But from what I'm being told, I'm not impressed.
All right.
But go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I think the saving grace of this is the battle finally at the end when he cracks the helmet, and it ties so much into it.
Have you heard about this? So
No. I know they fight at the
Kenobi goes
end.
full offense in one scene, which I thought he was supposed to be the defensive king of the world in lightsaber fighting. Isn't there a whole style about him?
There's a style, yes, but
He's
that's
like
old
defensive,
canon,
right?
so
Okay,
I don't
maybe
know
it's
what
old
new
canon.
canon
Well,
is.
Anyway, he gets a hit in on Darth Vader and cuts the helmet open.
Oh, so you can see.
Yes.
Okay.
You
Well,
see-
yeah.
And it's Hayden underneath in the makeup.
That's every actor's in their contract. If they're playing behind a mask, you got to give me a moment where I have
Apparently.
without my mask.
Apparently.
Everyone.
Well,
I don't care. Go ahead. It's fine.
yeah, I thought that it did well because
He's talking to Anakin now.
Yes.
correct.
He sees Anakin.
I get it.
He sees Anakin's current
Good.
state.
How's
Yeah.
he looking?
Well, I mean,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah, he's not looking good these days.
I mean, he looks about like he did in episode 3.
Okay.
Which is another complaint that I have, but go ahead.
So I think that it was like them making amends. So anybody that's went through that, I thought that was like the beauty of it.
What?
You know, him apologizing
Then
to
talking
Anakin
to each other, yeah.
and failing him, and Anakin saying it's not your fault.
Right. Because by this point, they've had this big long fight, and Vader's finally too tired to go on, which just seemed silly to me. Like, was his stamina bar low? Like, take a potion or something? You know, it was just weird. that he
No,
was just,
I thought that was the way to do it. I thought
strange.
that
Okay.
you know, part of this is Vader is this ultimate villain. He's still very endearing, even through everything he's ever done. You know, he's not someone you just can't stand. You're almost pulling for him. That's why his scenes are so good when he shows off how powerful he is. Anyway, I just thought that scene was like, that's a very realistic thing for everybody.
So to answer your question, Hayden had some good moments
Okay.
in this for sure.
All right. Well, I know he's a good actor, so.
Yeah.
So, anything else on your list?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what was the whole point in him burning Kenobi at the beginning? And when Vader and Kenobi finally see each other at the end of episode 1, episode 2, maybe? I don't know. 3. It was episode 3, I think. Before they finally fought the first time. And it was just really quick. And then Vader gets the best of him. And he like yanks him up by the Force and throws him into this pit of fire. And just lets him burn for a while. I'm like, oh, I see how they're aging up Ewan McGregor to be episode 4 Obi-Wan Kenobi. And they're going to do with it. No. 5 minutes in the back to tank. Totally good to go. Ewan McGregor's way too pretty to let him be uglified by fire. So they threw him in the back to tank, and he was like nothing ever happened. And I'm like, wait a minute, Vader was in the back to tank too. Why does he still look like an old raisin? And yet,
well, I don't think the fire. I mean, they showed that the fire was not as intense. I thought that was a link toward he wanted
him to feel the pain of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
He wanted to give him a taste, and he wanted to. It's kind of like he toyed with the girl that forgot her name.
Yeah, exactly.
Vader acts like a lion playing with a rabbit.
He does.
Okay. Which is why in A New Hope he says, "Last time we met, I was the learner. Now I am the master." And I'm sorry. Sorry.
I was once the learner, but now I am the master.
Dang.
He doesn't say the last time.
Okay.
And he's got the good, like Hayden had the good arrogance and the good, like, ego and pride of the dark side and everything else. Like, I liked it.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
really good.
anybody that's crapping on that side of it, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You
I'm
didn't-
with you, straight up.
You didn't watch a lot of Star Wars on VHS, obviously.
All right.
I think the problem was that, like, it felt like to me the rest of the show, like we've talked about the high points, the entire rest of it felt like, you know how when a child has learned how to say, "Hey, Daddy, watch this," and they just want to show you that they unwrapped a banana or something.
I think that's
and
too
then
close.
they say 2 seconds later, they say, "Hey, Dad, watch this," and then they like fall on their butt and they think it's amazing and they want you to watch it. And
Right.
They just keep saying, "Hey, watch this." And then the next thing you see is like, "Hey, watch this." And then they're jumping off the house. And you're like, "Wait." And it's like Disney is like, "Hey, watch this. We can do this now." Or, "We've never seen this before. Watch this." And we're going to put Star Wars' logo on the side. And you are going to love it. It's that same hubris complex that you and I have talked about before with Marvel and other Star Wars stuff that they've done. It's just, "Hey, watch this." And it was so boring, and it didn't mean anything, and I don't know why they crammed it all into 6 episodes, I guess is what we talked about. And then
Did it feel crammed?
oh yeah,
And it was too much for 6 episodes?
Well,
Okay.
it kind of left you going, why haven't they done more with Obi-Wan?
yeah.
Like, every episode to me felt like,
But even Obi-Wan's scenes though, and episode 1 and 2 were like, okay, he's cutting up fish and they're showing the monotony of it, and I get it, but why are they still showing me the monotony?
yeah, so I go back to that. Yeah, I agree. It's not so much, not just saying why not more Obi-Wan, it's why are they choosing this, like you said, to show this twice? Show it once, we got it.
We get the idea. Don't tell me again.
Yeah, we know he does a remedial type job, and he's very much just one of a sea of people now. I agree. It felt like I felt like they left a lot on the table
Agreed.
with core people.
And then why did they do it with the shaky cam all the time? Why the shaky cam? Do you hate shaky cam as much as I do? Because it's a slow, dramatic moment. You're whispering something to someone. Why the hell are you holding a shaky cam? And why did you give the cameraman to someone with Alzheimer's or Parkinson's? Like, what's happening? I that may not be a PC thing to say, but seriously, Parkinson's people shake. That's what happens.
That is not a PC thing.
Anybody with Parkinson's will tell you, I shake a lot because their motor pathways are messed up, so they can't quite hold it together. It's like they gave the camera to somebody with Parkinson's and they just left it on them. And I'm like, why did they choose this? And I don't mind shaky cam in tense moments when stuff's rumbling and throwing all around you and you shaking. You've got 10 seconds to make a decision, But like, this is what drove me crazy with the pacing. And I'll sum up with this because I have so many examples I could draw from, but this is the perfect one. So they take off. Vader grabs one ship and pulls it on the ground. Well, no, that wasn't the right ship because Vader clearly doesn't use the Force strong enough to detect if there are living people in the ship. So he pulled down the wrong one and the real one took off and they got away. And yet, 5 minutes earlier, you said, but there's an Imperial Star Destroyer in orbit right above us. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's a problem if you're going to try to take off in a starship. And apparently not. You can just take off, and the big lumbering Imperial Star Destroyer will just kind of catch up to you when it gets there. Not even mentioning the fact that Vader himself is on this Imperial Star Destroyer, and that it's chasing after you, and then there's swelling John Williams music, and he's like, dun, 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 Vader's coming at you. And this old clunky transport that just barely made it out of orbit and took a whole episode to put together so it could fly is flipping around like it's the freaking Millennium Falcon. Like putting Millennium Falcon to shame. It's just doing maneuvers on top of maneuvers. And I'm like, I thought this thing could barely fly. And then Vader comes on the bridge and he's like, increase firepower, full speed. And you see the lasers coming out of the Star Destroyer. It's like, beep, 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 and it doubles it. And there's like more green lasers. It's like a little 5-year-old drawing green lasers, and shooting everything on his page. And it's just nothing but green lasers by the end. And so that's what's happening. And then cut. Okay, let's get the shaky cam out. They're going to do a quiet scene. I need you to come over and do that really soft, inspirational speech part where you're going to sacrifice yourself.
But the camera's moving.
But the camera's constantly doing this number.
It's Battlestar Galactica.
I'm losing my mind
Battlestar
at this time
Galactica.
because, wait a minute. Vader's on the bridge of the Star Destroyer. They're firing more laser cannons than we've ever seen in Star Wars in the history combined. And there was this big, boom, 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 John Williams thing happening. And now you're going to spend almost 10 minutes of really quiet, whispered conversations with the actors kind of leaning to the side, like on Star Trek, every so often, just to remind you that they are being chased by the flagship of the Imperial fleet with Vader on it. And it's where's the tension? Do you want me to be stressed out, or do you not want me to be stressed out? Do you want me to care that there's an Imperial Star Destroyer back there, or not? And it just went, after 10 minutes, it resumed with Obi-Wan taking his little escape pod or his little shuttle and going left, and they went right. And Vader said, "Everybody go left." And they said, "But Lord Vader," says, "I said go left." And so they go left, and it's like do. I'll get there eventually, and then it didn't even resolve, and then it just ended with Vader on the planet where Ewan was, and I'm like, what? Wait,
did it really?
What? Yeah.
Okay, so
nothing happened. It was just over.
Wes, your thoughts on that scene?
That whole
episode?
Scene, wait a minute. That whole back and forth is just the first. That's the maddening pacing I'm talking about. Like the pacing and the director's cuts and choices and music, everything about it just felt so off in every scene, and it could have been great. That could have been so good, such a good chase scene. And I felt so let down, like I do right now. And the entire show, I felt just like this. I would get really excited. I'm like, oh shit, Vader said more firepower, about to see something awesome, and it was going to be amazing. And then it just kind of shaky cammed itself out. And I was like, where's the payoff? And I just felt so gypped by that. So that's my whole thing.
Okay.
That's why I didn't like this show.
Okay.
That's why I will never watch it again.
Your response to all that's a lot.
Look, he's doing his over the top. Hat comes on backwards.
Well, this is the rally cap now, so we're ready to go.
Moment happening. Do we need to arm wrestle?
I saw you knock him down. Why don't you try knocking me down?
Okay. All right.
I thought, to summarize that, it goes back to Vader played with Obi-Wan like a lion playing with a rabbit. He could have done a lot more, but he never did. So that's where I came out on that.
Okay.
Yes.
You think he was doing the same thing with the Imperial Star Destroyer?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't get that vibe at all.
All right. So, last question, we'll wrap it up here. Would you recommend, I should say, Kenobi? Wes?
I would recommend it, but I would tell people it's a very slow build. It's not going to check all of your Star Wars boxes, but it will check two giant.
It will check a few.
It will check
two. Even know you had
two very big ones. For
and
sure.
hold up before I get to you, because this is one thing that we talked about prior to turning on the mics here. We talked about how they can take 6 episodes and just stretch it out.
Yeah.
How much of the 6 episodes, in your opinion, if you could say, I need to do a West cut on here, how many episodes would this go? 2, 3?
4.
4. It'd go 4 episodes.
Because I think the last 2 were very, very solid.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have took the first 4
and combined into 2.
Yeah. But I also think you could have done 6.
If you would have done it properly.
If you would have used your core characters more effectively. Okay. I think they did fine with waiting on Obi-Wan and Vader to finally engage on those last few episodes rather than early on.
Okay.
But I think that they could have really dug into the psychology of this, because Star Wars is very psychological to I think our generation of people. of people or humans, whatever we are. And
People.
I think that that's a very lost part of the show. I just feel like I think so much about Obi-Wan's legacy was totally left on the table.
Okay. Benjamin.
I recommend it for some of the same reasons, and you will check the boxes. You need to lower your expectations if you're going into it. I think one of my problems was that I was also simultaneously rewatching The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, which is a masterclass in storytelling.
That's a really good story.
It is a brilliant storytelling medium.
You should not have watched that prior to
not,
watching
no,
anything.
I should not have. And my standards are too high, is the thing, and I get that, and that's fine. But
It should be high. I think...
But that's what I mean. Disney has unlimited funds, unlimited casting ability, unlimited everything that they could do with this. Why did we get that?
Storytelling has improved. Wes and I talked about this in our Spider-Man episode, that now the bar has been raised. Now what used to suffice to impress us 10 years ago ain't there anymore. You've got to go to Spider-Man. Remember saying this? You got to go to the Spider-Man levels.
It's sales. It's what have you done for me today?
Yeah, but it's the right thing. Sports records are broken all the time. You've got to do better than before. It's always. But if you're not seeing a trend moving up, like Queen's Gambit, they've done Queen's Gambit. There's a bar. I agree.
That's a high bar.
That's a high bar, and there are other shows that meet that bar. But there's a lot of shows that have a lot of potential. Obi-Wan has a lot of name recognition. It should have killed Queen's Gambit.
Should have. Yeah, I agree. But see, that's my point, and that was my argument. Because when I finished Queen's Gambit, I realized what Kenobi was missing is that
chess.
Most people don't care about playing chess. Most people don't know how to play chess. But
let the Wookiee win.
That's all you need to know is let the Wookiee win. But see, even in Queen's Gambit, you don't know how to play chess by the end of episode 10. But you know from episode 1 all the way through the beginning who's winning, what's happening, because you can read it in their faces, you hear it in the music, it's intoned by the director in some way or another without dialogue. And you do not have to know what's happening, and moreover, they don't have to tell you 2 or 3 times like you're an idiot audience member. They just let you understand it. And so if they had done anything even close to that kind of storytelling, it could have been one of the best things Star Wars has ever seen.
Gotcha.
But it just absolutely is not.
So you would recommend The Queen's Gambit?
I still would recommend The Queen's Gambit.
Okay.
And I would recommend Kenobi, but just be prepared to watch it and be done with it, and that's fine.
And in Queen's Gambit, they let the Nookie win.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why I do it.
All right, folks.
Why am I here?
We'll see you next time.
Maybe.
On Princes of the Universe.